I don't have so much left.
Oh, really? Okay.
You get old.
Yeah, you think you still got it. Maybe not as much. That's news. That's news. And we have Commissioner Willie who just joined us.
Yep.
Commissioner Willie, can you hear me? All right, so we're gonna try to do something a little different with this technology here, so. You'll be communicating with me and I'll be communicating with everybody else if you have any questions, okay? All right, we're gonna call this meeting to order at this time, and it's good to see everyone. We're going to do a brief roll call to make sure we have our commissioners present. We'll start to my right.
Commissioner Over.
Commissioner Bolte.
Tim Bolte here.
Present.
And we have Commissioner Willie, who is online joining us. And Commissioner Willie says she is present at this point in time. So, and so just so everyone knows, if Commissioner Willie has any questions or comments, I have her in my earpiece here, and I'll relay that out to everybody that's here. Okay? Sure. All right, with that being said, we're going to entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented for last board meeting.
Motion.
Commissioner Sullivan, motion. Commissioner Bolte, second. Any discussions as it relates to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much for that. We are now, at this point in time, I don't think we have any old business. Executive Director McGinnis, I'm going to hand the floor over to you, sir.
All right, thank you. We're going to jump right in. First of all, thanks everybody for being here. We're going to start with financial services. So, Teresa, the floor is yours.
My first item, is it on?
Slide it up.
Can you hear me now? I think I speak loud enough. My first item is to ask the board to act on a resolution authorizing the executive director to amend an agreement with Wellstone Incorporated Mental Health Center of Madison County to be the sponsor of the sponsor-based special needs assistant program grant. And we refer to this as the SNAP grant. The Huntsville Housing Authority was granted the renewal of the SNAP grant in the amount of $446,722 to be effective August 1st, 2020. This grant is to assist at least 49 homeless persons annually who are disabled due to chronic mental illness. HHA is required to enter into a contract with the sponsor to operate the grant. Our grant is with Wellstone Incorporated, the Mental Health Center, to be the sponsor. Wellstone, previously known as the Huntsville Madison County Mental Health Board, has been the sponsor of this program for over 20 years. The economic impact: the sponsor will collect the resident portion of the rent and they will pay the entire rent to the rental complex. The sponsor will be reimbursed by HHA for the special needs assistance program after proper paperwork has been supplied to HHA finance staff and they have verified the information. There are no alternatives, and a copy of the Wellstone agreement is attached. This item that I'm asking your approval on is Resolution 2020-39. Do you have any questions for me concerning this grant and agreement?
For the good of the body, I think it's important to note that this is not the first time that the commissioners have seen the resolutions that are being presented today. The commissioners have an opportunity to, through a pre-board meeting, to hear about these resolutions. And so if you do not see a lot of deliberations and discussions going on now, please know that these commissioners had an opportunity to ask questions about the resolutions that are being presented. But at this point in time, we're going to entertain any motions for Resolution 2020-39, authorizing the executive director to amend agreement with Wellstone Incorporated to be the sponsor for the sponsor-based special needs assistance program grant. Commissioner Willie, motion.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sullivan. Any further discussions? Anyone have any comments or questions for this particular resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the resolution passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Our second item is the presentation of the cumulative low-income housing finance report for the period ending August 31st, 2020. The explanation or for variances of 10% or greater. Starting at total revenue, overall we're at 43%, so we're trending above target. The first item is other tenant charges. This line item is below budget due to no late fees being charged to residents from April 20th to July 2020. The interest income is below budget due to interest rate drops for the year. Moving forward to management fees. Management fees are earned on occupied units. 360 Property did not lease vacant units during the first quarter of the fiscal year. Moving forward to other income. This is a budget error. The budget included a developer fee from the last fiscal year that was not carried forward in this fiscal year. The revised budget will reflect this line item. But I will say that we did receive developer fee in this month for $100,000, a little bit over that. So we will make the adjustment of that line item, including the developer fee that we have received. Moving forward to administration. Administrative salaries, employee benefits, and labor. The expenses for the first quarter of the fiscal year were reclassified to the CARES Act funding. The revised fiscal 3/31/21 budget revision will reflect this reduction in these expenses. Audit fees, this line is slightly over budget due to actual expenses incurred. Moving forward to the next item of expenses, advertising and marketing, legal, training and travel, and other administrative expenses. These expenses are below budget during the first two quarters due to a decrease in activity because of COVID-19. Moving forward to the second pages of the financials, to tenant services other, relocation costs of tenants due to radon remediation plan in the amount of $38,036 was not an anticipated expense at the time when we completed the budget. Also moving to maintenance under materials. This expense is lower due to operations being underutilized for the first two quarters of the fiscal year due to maintenance staff responding only to emergency work orders. The maintenance staff have resumed entering units in September 2020. Moving down to number 10, other general expenses, the 360 Property Capital Fund 1406 operations funds were drawn and completed in July 2020. Moving to the third page of the financials, to collection loss. The first quarter board approved write-offs of $17,486. It is offset by $26,298 in MIS collections and other resident payments of past due collections. The last item, the COCC transfer to Section 8 of $70,000. This transfer was needed for the administrative expenses for Section 8 as of August 31st, 2020. So August 31st, 2020, our increase in our unrestricted position is $1,374,343 in comparison to a budgeted decrease of $400,174. Do you have any questions? And also attached are the breakdowns by each development. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have 4 items for the board this afternoon. The first is requesting the board to act on a resolution authorizing our executive director to execute a purchase and sale agreement with Jupiter Holdings for the purchase of our Pollard Circle property. HHA entered into a non-binding letter of intent with Jupiter Holdings back in April for the purchase of our vacant Pollard Circle property. They have now presented us with a purchase and sale agreement, updating and finalizing the terms. They are offering to purchase this property for $3,555,555. This purchase price is subject to a 3% sales commission. The way that shakes out is the 3% sales commission comes out to be $106,666.65, with the net coming to HHA of $3,448,888.35. I have attached the purchase and sale agreement in full to the board item, and I can answer any questions if there are any about this item.
It should be noted that Deputy Executive Director Bryant is going to present 2 purchase agreements to the board here for Pollard Circle. Clearly, we cannot enter into 2 purchase agreements with 2 different individuals for the purchase of the same property. So what we're going to do is take a vote on the first resolution that's here for the offer that we have, and we will also take a vote for the next resolution that will be presented for the same property by a different potential purchaser. So it will be the role of this board to make a decision in your individual capacities as to the votes on these 2 different resolutions. But again, just to note that this is for the same property. So what this board is not able to do is have an affirmative vote for both resolutions. So I just want to make sure that that's clear on that.
And actually, I could discuss the second purchase and sale agreement, and then you all can vote on the first and then the second. That way we can discuss the terms of both before you make a decision.
I love the idea.
Okay. So are there any questions about the agreement with Jupiter Holdings before I go through the second offer? Moving along, the second item that I have is also for the purchase of our Pollard Circle property, and I am requesting the board to act on a resolution authorizing our executive director to execute a purchase and sale agreement with FHH for this purchase. FHH have concluded negotiations regarding the terms of the sale, and they now wish to present the same to the board for consideration. FHH has offered to purchase the property for a total purchase price of $3,250,000. $3 million of this amount represents the purchase price, and the remaining $250,000 will be earmarked for use by HHA for our recently designated Envision Center located on Fairbanks Street, in our Northwoods community. Are there any questions about this purchase and sale agreement?
Keisha, thank you very much. So tell me again the absolute dollar difference between the 2 total.
So with the FHH agreement, which is the second, the total amount coming to HHA is $3,250,000. For the Jupiter agreement, after the sales commission is taken out, the total amount coming to HHA is $3,448,888.35.
So the difference.
The difference is about $200,000. I think minus $2,000, so about $98,000 is the difference. Well,
200,000.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I know that Ashley Jones, my law partner, was at the last meeting to answer any questions you had. Y'all have a lot of good information here already presented to you, and I'm sure you've considered all of the options. I can answer any questions you've got with regard to these. Ashley has updated updated me and briefed me on everything. I think you have a lot of the information you need.
Well, clearly, this is not just about the highest price for the particular property. And so it may be worthwhile to highlight just the high-level relevant factors that you think this board should be considering, or more relevant information that we're considering in addition to just the price. So things such as the length of time for the contract and so forth.
Sure. I know you all understand your fiduciary duties, and that has something to do with price, but there are other significant factors, and she's done a good job of presenting those. The two offers, as she said, are mutually exclusive, and as you recognize, Mr. Chairman, you can't take both of them. One is a shorter period of time, the FHH one. The due diligence period would be over in February of 2021, as I recall.
That's right.
The price is a little lower, but you have a certainty soon. You don't tie up your property and leave it for a longer period of time. The other is longer, but a little more money. $200,000 or 198 is not nothing. But you leave that outstanding and questioned for a lot longer period of time. It binds the property. You have, I think, 180 days of a due diligence period, plus an option that they have for another 180 days. And my degree is not good at math, but you're closing on a year of tying up the property, getting close to it if you go with that option. And of course, it's up to you all individually to consider those things. But I would say that both are important. The possibility that things in the world can change between now and a year from today versus the amount of money.
And for the agreement with FHH, they specifically stated that closing will occur on or before July 31st, 2021. And then for the agreement with Jupiter, it has the 180 days, an additional 180-day extension, as Rich just mentioned, and then they state that they will close within 60 days following the expiration of the due diligence period.
Thank you for the explanation, Ms. Riley. Appreciate it. Commissioners, have any other discussions or questions about the two resolutions that we're going to have to act on? Okay.
The first is Resolution 2020-40, and that is to execute a sale and purchase agreement with Jupiter Holdings, LLC, for the purchase of the Pollard Circle property. And that's 2020-40.
Okay, so we have the resolution 2020-40, authorizing the executive director to execute a sale and purchase agreement with Jupiter Holdings. Make sure we're clear that we're talking about Jupiter Holdings here for the purchase of the Pollard Circle property. Do I have a motion for this resolution?
We need a motion so we can vote, correct?
That is correct.
So moved.
Commissioner Bolte moved. Do I have a second? Commissioner Commissioner Fountain seconded. Any other questions? So at this time, we're going to vote on the motion for the purchase of Pollard Circle by Jupiter Holdings, LLC. All those in favor say aye. All those in favor, just want to make sure I'm clear. All those in favor say aye. I want to make sure, Commissioner Willie, I want to make sure I get your vote. Okay. All right, we have one aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. Okay. All right. The nays have it at this point in time, so the resolution does not pass. Okay, and so at this time, we are going to vote on the resolution for 2020-41 as presented, which is for the executive director to enter into a sales and purchase agreement with FHH for the purchase of Pollard Circle properties. Again, this is FHH. Do I have a motion?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Fountain moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Sullivan second. This time we have a move and it's been seconded. So all those in favor of the resolution, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? There are no oppositions, so the ayes have it, the resolution passes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My third item is requesting the board to act on a resolution authorizing the executive director to enter into a contract with State Systems for the purchase and installation of smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. The Huntsville Housing Authority has been awarded a carbon monoxide grant from HUD. These funds can be utilized to protect residents from exposure to carbon monoxide gas. We are utilizing the funds to purchase and install combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at Brookside, Lincoln Park, LR Patton, and Northwoods. We received 4 quotes in response to our solicitation. State Systems is deemed the most responsive and lowest at $56,000. And the money for this purchase will be paid from our carbon monoxide grant. This action is Resolution 2020-42 to enter into a contract with State Systems. Are there any questions about this item?
Okay, we have resolution 2020-42 that's been presented for authorizing the executive director into a contract with State Systems for the purchase and installation of smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. This time I entertain any motions.
So moved.
Commissioner Willie, motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Sullivan and Fountain, seconded. At this point, we have a motion and second. All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. The resolution passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, my final item is requesting the board to act on a resolution authorizing the executive director to execute pre-development loan documents for Stone Ridge Villas Phase 2. HHA previously procured and hired a developer to develop a plan for the redevelopment of Sparkman Homes. AHFA has previously awarded us tax credits for 2020, and so we are moving forward with that award to construct Phase 2 out at Stone Ridge Villas. And so, as part of our development agreement, HHA agreed to advance 75% of third-party costs associated with pre-development tasks, and Penrose would fund the remaining 25%. The purpose of this action is to authorize the executive director to make a loan to HHA, to make a loan from HHA to Balch Development 2 in the amount of $671,130.58. This amount represents 75% of the estimated total of pre-development cost. The full total of pre-development cost is $894,840.77. And as I previously said, Penrose will pay the remaining 25%. We will be reimbursed for our loan by December 31st, 2022, or the date of financial closing of construction loans for the project. And this is item 2020-43, I believe.
Yes.
Yes, okay, 2020-43. Are there any questions about this item?
Okay, we have a resolution presented for authorizing the executive director to enter into a pre-development loan document, to execute the pre-development loan documents for Stone Ridge Villas Phase 2. Have a motion.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Fountain moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Sullivan, second. Again, are there any questions or comments on this particular resolution that's on the floor? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of approving resolution 2020-43, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The resolution passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
I have one item to present today, which is the resolution authorizing the executive director
Executive director to enter into contract for the purchase and installation of smoke detectors in public housing units. However, before I proceed, Mike Norman is here to address the questions posed last week regarding the carbon monoxide detectors and the procurement of the smoke detectors. Mr. Norman?
Good afternoon. I think there was a little bit of confusion at the committee meeting. We have two separate projects going. One is to replace our existing smoke detectors with a combination smoke and carbon monoxide detector. We're doing that in all of our apartments except for Butler Terrace because we didn't think we were going to have enough money to do it. The combo detector, the carbon monoxide detectors, are only needed in apartments that have a gas appliance. Apartments that don't have gas don't need them. There's nothing in those apartments that would create carbon monoxide. So hopefully that clears up what we're doing, and we're going back to look at the budget and see if we have an opportunity. We do have money left over. The procurement came in under budget. So we have money left over, and we're checking now to see if we can go back to Butler Terrace, revise that budget with HUD, and install them at Butler Terrace also. The item for Danielle is just plain smoke detectors. And we're putting those in the bedrooms because now our new REACT protocol requires a smoke detector to be in every sleeping area. So we're putting in just a battery-operated smoke detector in those areas just to cover us for our inspection protocol. And those are a 10-year life expectancy on those smoke detectors that are sealed lithium battery, so the residents can't tamper with them, remove them, or anything like that. So I hope that clears up any questions the board had at the committee or preliminary.
Yeah, thank you for clearing that up. So these are not plug-in to the outlet?
No, they're just battery operated for the ones in the bedrooms. The carbon monoxide detectors, we're taking down an existing smoke head and putting up a combination smoke head. So there's no.
They're not hardwired into the electrical?
Yes. Carbon monoxide and combo ones we're putting in are replacing a plain smoke detector that is hardwired. Those are hardwired with battery backup. That's required by code. So those are hardwired with battery backup. The separate ones in the bedrooms are just battery operated. And I think Mr. Sullivan had a question about the specification. The low bidder really is just for the labor. We specify what product they are to install. They can't just go buy something off the shelf and put it in. Okay. So they have to meet our spec, and that will occur. They'll have to submit to us what they're proposing to use for approval before they can start the work. So really, the low bidder is just for the labor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Norman. Are there other questions for myself before I proceed? So again, this is to act on a resolution authorizing the executive director to enter into contract for the purchase and installation of smoke detectors in public housing units. On September 22nd, 2020, HHA issued a quotation for small purchases for the purchase and installation of smoke detectors in public housing units. These services will be needed as HHA seeks to ensure compliance with the new INSPIRE protocol and to increase the safety of public housing residents. These new INSPIRE protocols require that all public housing units, as Mr. Norman mentioned, must have working smoke detectors in the sleeping areas, in addition to the hallways, kitchens, stairwells, and common areas. In order to foster competition, in response to this QSP, HHA's procurement officer took the following steps, including notifying 122 vendors and through e-procurement and emailing 17 vendors from HHA's potential vendors list. HHA received quotes from 3 companies. However, one was deemed non-responsive due to failing to provide a bid bond as required by state law. The following responses were received, and you will see in your board documents from Cowart Construction and from State Systems. As a result of the bid tabulation, Cowart Construction is the apparent low bidder at a total cost of $72,895.83. The cost of the purchase and installation of smoke detectors should not exceed $73,000. Just a little bit of a roundup in case there were some additional things that are additional items that needed to be purchased. You wouldn't have to come back to the board again and present for an extra $100 or so. This will be paid for out of operating funds. Therefore, it is the recommendation of the executive director for HHA to enter into contract with Cowart Construction to purchase and install smoke detectors in public housing units for an amount not to exceed $73,000. And this is resolution number 2020-44 for your consideration. Are there any further questions?
Director Thomas, thank you. We have a resolution that's been presented authorizing the executive director to enter into a contract for the purchase and installation of smoke detectors in public housing units, resolution 2020-44. Do you have any motion?
Motion.
Commissioner Sullivan, motion. Commissioner Bolte, second. Discussions. I do want to say that I really appreciate, in addition to the fiduciary responsibility that this board takes very, very seriously, I think just as high, if not even a higher priority, is the safety of our residents. And so I appreciate the robust discussion that goes on when we ever have issues come forth. That's something that seems so simple as smoke detectors, but understanding how important that is in terms of the safety of our residents. And it was brought up in the last week's meeting that we make decisions kind of saying what we want for our own families. And there should be no lower level of expectation about the safety of our residents for the housing authority. So I'm appreciative of the commissioners and the questions they ask when it comes to things like this. I'm appreciative of the executive director and allowing us to have that discussion and going with this. And I'm also appreciative of the team, Director Thomas, you, for ensuring that the safety of our residents is top priority. So thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. At this time, I'll entertain, right, at this time we will vote on the resolution 2020-44. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Resolution passes. Thank you, Director Thomas.
Roll call.
All right, good afternoon. I have 3 items today. The first is requesting your approval of revised payment standards for the Housing Choice Voucher Program. HHA is responsible for adopting a payment standard schedule that establishes voucher payment standard amounts based on the FMRs in our jurisdiction. HUD publishes new FMRs annually. HHA may establish the payment standard amount for a unit size at any level between 90 and 100% of the published FMR for that unit size. As part of our commitment to expand housing opportunities for the families we serve, HHA established exception payment standards above the basic range for the metropolitan FMR based on the HUD published small area FMRs for 7 different zip codes in 2017. The Huntsville MSA FMR is utilized for all of the other zip codes in our jurisdiction. I've attached a table showing the proposed payment standards to be effective January 1st, 2021, and adding 5 more zip code areas for a total of 12 SA FMRs. And to further expand housing opportunities, these payment standards reflect 105% of the published FMR. We were previously at 100%. So we're going up some because the market is so tight. Our families are having real struggle finding units. So we're adding the zip 35773 is the zip code for Tony. 35801, 02, and 03, of course, is in South Huntsville. and 35824 is in the Martin Road, Zert Road area. So when payment standards increase, many housing choice voucher participants will see a decrease in their portion of the rent, which results in increased cap payments. I have also attached the 2021 Huntsville Metropolitan Area FMRs, the 2021 Small Area FMRs, the previous payment standard schedule, and the proposed payment standard schedule for 2021. So in order to continue serving families outside high poverty areas, and so families can afford to lease units within the payment standard, it is deemed necessary to revise the current payment standards to be effective January 1st, 2021. With your approval, this is Resolution 2020-45.
Thank you, Director Bingham. Commissioners, we have a resolution that's been presented approving a revised payment standard for the Housing Choice Voucher Program, Resolution 2020-45. You have a motion? Oh, you want to do the question now? Please go ahead.
Oh, you can. Paul, thank you. So the MSA for Huntsville includes Limestone County?
No, it does not. Limestone County is in Decatur Housing Authority's jurisdiction. We do have, if the zip code is for Harvest, but it's also in Limestone County, we have approval from Decatur to have overlapping jurisdiction in that area. Otherwise, if a unit is in Limestone County, they have to port to Decatur.
I thought the MSA was Madison County and Limestone County, right?
It is, but Decatur has jurisdiction over Limestone County. And they don't utilize small area FMR, so it's not affordable for a family to live in Limestone County in the Harvest area without utilizing Huntsville Housing Authority's payment standards. So that's why they agreed to overlap jurisdiction with us for that area.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? If not, I entertain a motion for Resolution 2020-45.
Motion.
Commissioner Sullivan moved,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Fountain. No other questions? We'll present this for a vote. All those in favor of Resolution 2020-45, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you. Next, I'm requesting approval of a resolution awarding 49 project-based vouchers to Elmington Capital Group for a proposed 201-unit apartment community. The project-based voucher program is an optional program that provides housing authorities with a flexible tool to increase housing opportunities for low-income families and may provide improved voucher utilization in tight markets. Project-based vouchers are vouchers where the assistance is attached to the unit rather than to the tenant, and housing authorities have the option of attaching up to 20% of their voucher assistance to specific housing units. To date, we've only used 35 of our 368 available project-based vouchers. HHA would like to further our efforts to deconcentrate poverty and expand housing opportunities by providing assistance at Old Monrovia, a proposed 201-unit affordable housing community to be located at 1325 Old Monrovia Road in the Huntsville 35806 zip code. The purpose of this resolution is to award 49 project-based vouchers to Elmington Capital Group for this proposed development. We issued a solicitation, RFP 2017-26, for project-based vouchers located within our jurisdiction. Elmington Capital Group submitted a proposal for 49 project-based vouchers for a new apartment community. At this time, the RFP review committee recommends awarding these vouchers and appreciates the construction of new affordable housing in our jurisdiction, which is much needed. The economic impact is an award of project-based vouchers will not have an economic impact on HHA since it will not increase our voucher allocation. With your approval of Resolution 2020-46, you're authorizing HHA to award 49 project-based vouchers to Elmington Capital Group and authorizing the Executive Director, CEO, to enter into an AHAP contract with Elmington Capital Group, and when construction is complete, enter into a housing assistance payments contract for the 49 project-based vouchers. Any questions?
Director Bing, I have a question. So the original RFP for this was 2017. Is there a reason to believe that at some point we need to redo that RFP to reflect some current reality or changes?
It's a rolling procurement. I think it went through 2022, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 5 years.
5 years.
5 years, okay. And then my second question is Elmington Capital Group a local company?
They have local partners. They're based out of Nashville, I believe.
Okay. And then my last item. I would appreciate the opportunity just to see that RFP for Elmington Capital, just to kind of know what that type of RFP and proposal looks like, if that's okay?
Okay, sure. It wasn't a really pretty one,
That's okay.
but it served the purpose because we so need some people out here building affordable units.
Okay.
Because I'm interested, you said we're gonna use 30.
35, that was at Stone Ridge Villas Phase 1.
Hmm.
We awarded some more, we awarded about 42, I believe, but that project has not started construction yet, so we can't consider that as part of our 20% until it goes under a HAP contract.
In rolling procurement, how often is that, like, always on the site?
It's available for 5 years for anyone who wants to submit an RFP for project-based vouchers.
You know what I mean, if I was a new developer going to HHA site today, would I see it?
Yes, sir. It's out there.
Just one quick question. It looks like under the awarded points, their score was not that high, but primarily because of the case management services where they barely scored, and then Section 3 preference.
Right, and that's not
They just not address Section 3 at all.
it's not a requirement, and supportive services are not required unless they want more than 25% of their units as project-based vouchers. So then they would have to provide supportive services. The families aren't required to participate, but they would have to have the support services available. But this one is less than the 25% threshold.
Is there some way we could offer some support?
Oh, absolutely, yes, we can do that. We actually we're going to the partner that we had previously awarded project-based vouchers to that haven't started construction. They did have supported services available, and they were basically weren't on site. They were just referring, but we can do that as well. Yes.
These folks got 2 out of 15, maybe put some kind of token services in there.
I think
Mention
they
it.
must have, but all in all, it's just not a pretty proposal, but we really need these units, and they were offering 3 and 4 bedroom apartments, and 4 bedrooms are so hard to find. There's maybe, I think we have one apartment complex that offers 4 bedroom units, and they were gonna offer, oh my goodness, maybe 25, so it's much needed, and in a great area, I might add. There's so much development going on in that area, so lots of opportunities for employment for our families as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, please, Commissioner Willie has a question. One more time. Okay. Commissioner Willie is asking, is this going to be property that's similar to Stone Manor that's down in South Parkway?
Is it similar to Stone? No, this is not going to be public housing. This would be project-based vouchers where they would go and apply at the property and receive project-based voucher assistance. So they would pay based on their income, but Stone Manor is owned by the housing authority, so we would not be the landlord, we would just be providing rental assistance.
Okay, all right, she said that answers the question, thank you so much. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion for resolution 2020-46.
Motion.
Commissioner Sullivan moved in second. Commissioner Willie seconded. We've had plenty of discussion, but just in case there's any further discussion, hearing none, all those in favor of approving the resolution say aye. All those opposed say nay. The resolution passes. Thank you.
Thank you. And last, I have another request for approval of project-based vouchers, and this is resolution awarding 22 project-based vouchers to Balch Development 2 LLC for Stone Ridge Villas Phase 2. Balch Development was awarded tax credits this year for Phase 2 at 1700 Balch Road in Madison 35757. The purpose of this resolution is to award 22 PBVs to Stone Ridge Villas Phase 2. Huntsville Housing Authority currently provides 35 project-based vouchers for Stone Ridge Villas Phase 1, which have remained fully utilized since lease-up initially in 2019. Balch Development submitted a proposal for Stone Ridge Villas Phase 2 and was rated by the RFP Evaluation Committee, and we would like to support Balch Development in this endeavor by providing the 22 PBV units for this project, which consists of 65 units in total, 40 tax credit only units, 22 project-based vouchers with your approval, and 3 public housing units. So with your approval of resolution 2020-47, you're authorizing HHA to award 22 project-based vouchers to Balch Development and authorizing the executive director to enter into an AHAP contract with Balch Development, and when construction is complete, enter into a housing assistance payments contract for the 22 PBVs.
Thank you. We have a resolution presented 2020-47, awarding 22 project-based vouchers to Balch Development 2 LLC for Stone Ridge Villas Phase 2. Do I have any motion?
Motion.
Commissioner Sullivan, motion. Second. Commissioner Bolte, second. Anyone have any questions for Director Bingham on this particular resolution? I'll ask the question again for this one. Is Balch Development a local firm? Do we know? No. It is not.
No, they're not. Penrose. They are.
Okay. I mean, I'm asking these questions. We're happy to get the developers come in and do the vouchers for the development. I'm just always interested to see how much of our interactions with both our vendors and developers are local versus out of town. And we know that Huntsville is a hot market. A lot of people are looking at it from out of town. But I'm just curious in that.
And I forgot to mention that this is a senior development.
Okay. All right. It'll be a little bit of time before I'm in there, so just, I was gonna make another statement, but I was like, we're gonna leverage this.
We're gonna go engage.
All right, so I have a motion and second here. All those in favor of resolution 2020-47, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Resolution passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you hold the spot, please?
Just hold this
We
up.
actually only have 3 feet aside, so some of us are close.
Executive Director McGinnis, any comments or presentations to the board?
Yes, first of all, I just want to thank all the staff for their presentations and the hard work that they do day to day to make sure this agency is continuing to operate as smooth as it does. I want to make sure that you all are aware of the virtual ribbon cutting that's going to take place on Thursday at 11 o'clock. And if you can physically make it out, we're going to be doing it at 2901 Fairbanks. We're going to do that with the city of Huntsville and a few of our partners. So that will take place on Thursday, October 22nd at 11 o'clock. I also want to, he's not here today, but next month, Fred Whitlow from Resident Services will give us an update on the voting registration piece that he conducted with a variety of different agencies. Yesterday, we talked about it, he said he's touched over 3,000 residents doing this piece and possibly registered over 500 residents who hadn't necessarily voted, need to be first-time voters. And so excited about that work. And it really gave other organizations within the community an opportunity to get to know some of our residents and provide some support in ways in which I don't think they thought they could do. So we're excited about some new partnerships that may be coming on to provide some services for our residents as well. Not last, but I also wanted to invite Officer Trussell to come and say a few words to us. We have a contract with Huntsville Police Department to provide above board services, and that contract was up for renewal on October the 8th. And in looking at the contract, I felt like there are some things in the contract that, together with the partnership with the Housing Authority and Huntsville Police Department, we could really start to set the trend for the country in developing positive relationships. And I've actually had the opportunity to talk with the chief and Officer Trussell. The chief couldn't make it out today, but I wanted Officer Trussell to come and just say a few words to us about the partnership and how we're going to move that partnership forward over the next few years and really set the tone for the country as we develop positive relationships in the community.
I'm glad y'all invited me. Glad to speak to you. I've been doing housing authority contracts and police work since a long time. Served about 15 years, 20 years. During that time, we've had a lot of changes, good changes. Interaction between the police and the citizens has been more a good thing than a derogatory thing. Mr. Ennis has been around a long time. He's, I hate to say it, kind of saw him grow up too, which ages me. So I'm eligible for some of the policies. As many of the site managers know, there's a lot of people in this room that haven't worked at the housing authority or with the housing authority near as long as I have. The ones that have know I am all about the kids, the young people, because, and I'm probably going against the grain. The housing authority programs are here to help people. They're not supposed to be a perpetual thing. With the housing authority, get you on your feet. Let's move on. We're gonna make you. It's yours now. It's not us doing for you or you doing for us. We're gonna help you do for yourself. Mr. Ennis's program, I see I kind of think I know where he's going to get the kids involved, empower the kids, the youth, the young people, even some of the single moms. Hey, you can do this on your own if you want to, and we'll help you do it. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to where he's wanting to go. I kind of got an idea. I'm curious to see how it goes. And if anybody needs to be, I've never had a problem with people finding me if they need help. All the site managers have got my phone number. I don't know if the board members have got it, but I'm sure y'all can find it real fast if you need to. I got a phone 24/7, so don't be scared to call me. Or anything, and the contract is basically to guarantee officers above and beyond. Right? These officers out here on the street, they're running call to call all day. What your contract does is 4-hour blocks, varied throughout the week, different times. You get 6 officers in the sergeant. The best I can get 6 officers. Okay. Times are changing. Guys or gals are not volunteering to work extra duty as much as they used to. I'm not even going to go into that aspect. What that does, it gets you 6 officers and a sergeant on the shift, and all they do is they're in public housing. Okay. If there's a problem, the site manager good say, hey, can y'all pay attention to this? Pay special attention to that. Some of these new programs that Mr. Ennis, I feel, is going to get started, we can take part of those officers and pull them into those programs. You know, we'll rearrange shifts. If we know these meetings, or I know these meetings are going to go on at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, we can change shifts ahead of time to make sure there's officers there. There again, there's a positive influence. Or any kind of, a better influence. Anything I can answer your question.
So I like to, first of all, I'm glad that we're taking a look at this contract and figuring out what we can do to improve. So based upon all your experience that you have, what would you offer as one area that you think we could take a look at that would actually improve the relationships or community policing or be in line with Executive Director McGinnis's vision of the relationship between the police department and housing authority?
Just tenant involvement. I know there's a trust factor there. Trust me, I have some tenants that call me on a daily basis. But a lot of the tenants just, they don't want to be involved. And I understand. But anonymity is there. They don't have, if they've got problems, they can call and talk to somebody and say, hey, these are the problems. We'll look into it without saying, hey, Danielle called and said y'all are doing this. That's not the way it works. And I'm not sure that that message is sinking in, or they just don't want to be involved here. And I don't know how we can usurp and bypass all that part. Tenant involvement is
As part of the community policing strategy to actually interact and get involved, like go into facilities like the Boys and Girls Club where we have heavy attendance of youth.
some of the officers do, as in those things, just how enthusiastic they are with getting out, just being around people, walking. Some of the towers they've been having to get out and actually physically walk on the floor.
I'm on the board of the club too, and we would welcome that interaction. In fact, one quick story, one of the young men that grew up in the neighborhood with Tony and Delvin, a little younger, Justin Key, grew up in Sparkman Homes and is now a police officer, police department, and we've been able to get him to come back a lot and speak to our teenagers and interact, and he knows, exactly what they're dealing with and growing up out in the neighborhood. So I think there's a lot of merit in that.
There is, because they realize who he is. They know. Tor's gone now. Everybody knew Tor.
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, he had a short leash, but as long as you kept him on that leash, and everybody knew it,
Real short.
Yeah. Y'all do an outstanding job. Thank you.
Like I said, I'll give you my phone number. If y'all will write it down, you can find me. It's 656-2734 is my cell. Or you can email me, pat.trussell@huntsvilleal.gov. That all rolls over my phone. Everything goes to my cell phone.
Here's one other quick question. Ms. Thomas may answer this. Is the police liaison unit over across from the gym over in Butler Terrace, well, this right here, right around the corner, is that being used, or we've still got that unit decommissioned?
Yes, we do. I know from the last time that I checked on it, and I forgive you, it has been some time, but there was still being some utilization, but I think that was potentially, we were going to discuss whether or not it needs to be winding
I
down.
think we've already given her permission if she needs that unit to, because they're still gonna go, a lot of them go right across the street. And that's what I told Danielle, if you need that unit, take it.
So the discussion was about winding that down and asking HUD for permission to reinstall that or to commission it again as a unit for use.
After going through the contract, I had to tell you, I was Kevin last year, wasn't a big fan of re-signing. That's because of the information that I saw within the contract. And I don't know if it's been done, you can actually be able to tell me that the quarterly meetings, community policing, or actually engagements, or activities that increase community policing, or actually develop community policing, monthly reports. I guess what I'm asking is, did they do that this year?
Every month, every time there's a detail, each officer who works that detail has a worksheet. That worksheet is what they do on each shift. Attached to each worksheet for each officer is a copy of the work that they produced on that shift. At the end of the month, all that paperwork, which it usually ends up being about anywhere from an inch to a half inch paperwork, is sent to the housing authority with as part of the invoice for that monthly bill. Everything done is turned in. In addition to that, the liaison part is me. All the backgrounds that Section 8 or public housing does, I get. And run the backgrounds through records on those and return them back to the housing. I don't know if it answers all your questions. The report is all the work turned in by the officers to justify their expense to you.
My last thing, I'm gonna actually give you, I'm glad you gave me the number, because, I think the key to tenant involvement is, trust, both ways, and a big part of that is the activities that you all put in place to increase or train upon, develop trust, and work on community policing. I can tell you, because I watched an interaction in Northwood. Now, the trouble that I had with it, when I think of community policing, is an African-American young man, but there were 20 white officers. I guess in my conversation to the side with you about if there are more officers that may look like the folks being arrested, or there's more officers that actually had engagement with the folks in the community. You don't have to look like them, but I do know relationship goes a long way. But I'm a call about it.
I'm old school. Okay. I've been working in and around public housing even before I was in this position. I get along with anybody until you make me mad or do me wrong. Okay, like I said, I've got people in the community that still call me on a regular basis. And some of them, when I say the number, I know I'm in for about a 30-minute conversation. And she'll finally tell me what she wants to tell me. But I can't talk to people with my thoughts. And that's where this generation seems to be going. When you grow up and all your conversations are on a 3x5 phone, and I'm gonna say that goes both ways. A lot of us learn to talk to people by talking to people face to face. And I think that's some of the problem we're having to work out of. And I see it from my side with young officers. And sometimes they fuss at me for bringing that to their attention. Hey, if you'll put your phone down and talk to people, you'll learn something. And I mean, so to deal with people and the communication, I can understand that part of it. But like I said, I look at it from a whole different view than a lot of these. You got to think, Huntsville Police Department by age is a very young police department. 3 to 5 years is about average. So I'm having to relearn how these guys think versus the way I police. If that makes sense to y'all.
They don't wanna work overtime, or they just wanna use their phone?
They must be making more money than I'm doing. I was hungry when.
Officer Trussell, thank you for all your support for the Housing Authority over all these years. Thanks for being transparent today, and thanks for your cell number. That was a real dangerous move there.
Well, just consider, I got one hobby. It's duck season, goes November 21st. I'll be back January 30th. So just leave me alone right there.
But there definitely are a lot of different ways to communicate, and some of it's generational, some of it's not. But I just want you to know we appreciate the support you give the Housing Authority, and personally, you know, it sounds like you're very involved and pretty passionate about it. So please, thank all
If
of
y'all need something out here, if I can't find it, I'll find somebody who can.
At this point, Commissioner Bolton is going to share his personal cell phone number.
That is not happening.
Thank you. And you ought to be hearing more from us as we work with Officer Trussell to make sure that we're doing what we need to do on our end as well. And then last but not least, I know that today is Danielle's last board meeting. Danielle's very reserved, so I know she wasn't gonna say anything about this, but she's provided over 9 years of service to this agency. She's been an awesome leader, and we wanted to just make sure that we acknowledge her leadership and what she's done. I hadn't had the opportunity to work with her as long as some of the other staff in the room, but I just wanted to acknowledge her today and let her know that we appreciate what she's done to the agency, what she's done for the agency, and wish her well in her next endeavor, and wanted to give the board an opportunity if you all had anything that you'd like to share as well.
Yeah, I'll just say, having been here when you got here, and I wasn't sure how long, I thought it was around 10 years, but I just want to thank you for the outstanding and for always professional work for the Housing Authority, and our CEO said, wish you well in future endeavors. I hope you're going to be here in the community where we'll still have a chance to work with you, and anything I can ever do personally to assist you to go forward. Let me know.
And Danielle, thank you very much. I've only been here a little over a year, so was it something I said? Something I didn't say? But it's been a delight to work with you for a short amount of time. But I too wish you well, and just want to thank you for all your efforts and your good results. You've done a great job for the housing authority.
I mean, losing my train of thought, 3 people down. I just want to say, I guess thank you in 3 different ways. Before, I went on the board before she came, but I was one of the folks who said that you had actually assisted them with getting their message through to the housing authority. So, and I was also told Michael Under Housing because he couldn't beat you. But the second piece of that is for my time as a commissioner, I don't have anything to do but thank you, because to be honest with you, I wasn't concerned when it came to anything dealing with housing operations regarding policy. And I've had several conversations with HUD, just for everybody in the room. And the first thing they would tell me is, you have that here, you're all right. So I probably should have expressed that a little more often than what I did, but that's a true statement. So I owe you nothing but thanks. I wish you well.
Mr. Willie, any comments for Danielle? Danielle, I'll just ditto everything that the other commissioners have said. You know, you do get work when there's no issues that come up, and there have been no issues, and I know that's not because you haven't gotten issues. I know that's because you've been able to manage those issues and resolve those issues before they get to the point where it's a concern on this end. So really appreciate it. I don't know what you got going on next, but I wish you absolutely the best in your next steps here. Commissioner Willis? Okay. All right, so Commissioner Willie says that she, again, wants to thank you. She says when she first came and got involved with the Housing Authority, when she was looking at you, she thought you were the boss because you were managing things so well. But she just says, just thanks you so much, and she says she wishes you the best with whatever's next for you as well, too.
Thank you, Commissioner Willie.
She said thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, do we have any public comments? Anyone signed up for any public comments?
No.
All right, no one signed up for public comments. We'll then move to any specific comments from the commissioners, and I'll start with Commissioner Sullivan. Any comments, Commissioner Sullivan, since you had to wait your turn?
No, I would like to say thank you to Danielle and Mike for breaking that, whole purchasing thing down for me. That was some, information or probably a question I should have asked a long time ago. You, thank you.
Commissioner Fountain?
I'd just like to thank the staff for all the work and especially, Keisha for 2 years of working on this Pollard Circle real estate negotiation. 2 years plus, I would say thank you.
Mr. Bolte?
Yeah, thanks to everyone again, and, Chairman mentioned safety of our residents, and I just want to encourage you, if you ever see any kind of need where we need to improve the safety of our residents within the scope of the housing authority, please don't hesitate to bring that forward. It's okay to question anything, I believe, and maybe we can't do everything, but we need to do as much as we can, whether it's internal security, external security, or just the affordable, safe housing that's provided. So please keep that in mind, and I just want to thank you for all that you do. And the Pollard Circle effort was big, and thank you for all your efforts bringing it to a close. And Danielle will miss you. Thank you.
Commissioner Willie, you have any comments? Okay. Commissioner Willie doesn't have any comments, but I will say, as it relates to Commissioner Willie, I didn't speak to her about this beforehand, but not to put too much of her information out there, but she is not with us physically today because Commissioner Willie had some challenges with someone who didn't know how to stay in their lane in the road, and she was the unfortunate victim of an accident. And the good thing is she's on the mend, and we wish her the best as she mends in that process due to no fault of her own. But I bring that up because you don't see her physically here, and we have a lot of testosterone on this table over here. Jim said he has a little bit less, but regardless, but it's really important for me anyway, as we think about the importance of just having a diverse group of people helping make decisions. The visual here, I don't particularly care all that much about, particularly with Commissioner Willie not being here, but she is present on the other end. As we move forward, we're going to try to be face-to-face in the same area. We know that this situation with this pandemic is changing, and there's numbers that the polls are going to be increasing with the fall, so we don't know how this is going to play out. But to the best of our ability as a board, we're going to try to make sure we meet our responsibilities as a board, whether it be physically, face-to-face, or remotely. And again, I'll reiterate what all the other commissioners said. Appreciate you so much to Executive Director McGinnis, the team here, who is doing a fantastic job. You really are, and we really appreciate you. And so if there's no other comments or thoughts, we will call this meeting adjourned.
Hey.
Thank you, Commissioner Will. Appreciate you. You okay with that?